All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys thought I was going to forget about doing Smackdown and AEW Dynamite for June 18th, 2021 review, you're definitely wrong. I do apologize for not uploading this last night, or at least within Saturday, like I usually have been doing for the last couple of weeks since AEW Dynamite has moved over to Friday nights. But I was a bit busy with Father's Day, so I was celebrating Father's Day and having a good old time. So excuse me if I'm a bit delayed on that. But I watched both of these episodes Saturday morning. Took the time to watch both of these episodes, which took me about a total of 3 hours to watch. And I wasn't too impressed with either one of these shows. I think both of them were average at best. Smackdown had the slight edge with that main event with the Hell in a Cell World Championship match between Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio. The MMA cage fight between Jake Hager and Wardlow, I will definitely get into that once we get to Dynamite, but let's start off with Smackdown. I'm going to go over the entire match card. These are going to be a very short reviews on both of them because I don't want this going past 40 minutes. I'm trying to do this in one video, so I'm not going to give you guys a full-fledged, all the way, every bit of detail on every episode for both of them. So I apologize if I'm not putting in the normal amount of work in this video that I have done on the other videos, but let's just get into this. So the first match on the card was Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz defeating Big E and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ate a finisher by Aziz, and he ends up losing the match thanks to Sami Zayn distracting Kevin Owens. So these two are going to face each other at Hell in a Cell. That was later on announced. Kevin Owens asked for Sami Zayn, and the GMs delivered on that. So that match is taking place. Not that I particularly care for it. It's just another rematch, and that's pretty much it. They kickstarted the show with the first segment, though, with Rey Mysterio acting as if he's challenging Roman Reigns for the World Championship when they announced, just before Rey Mysterio comes out, that this match was going to take place. And I'm just like, what? The fuck are they having Rey Mysterio come out here and challenge him for the world title inside Hell in a Cell when they already announced that match is taking place regardless? That was a really wasted out amount of time. All I saw it as a way of filling in time for a 2-hour show. So that was real trash. The tag team match, like I just mentioned, wasn't all that great. It wasn't that big of a deal. It only went 9 minutes and 10 seconds. Not a very favorable matchup, in my opinion. Didn't highlight Big E in any sense of the word, making him at all important. He seems like he's becoming the back burner to all of this. So is the Intercontinental Championship. In all honesty, since they started this tag team bullshit, they've had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens seem to be the more important thing on this program than the IC Championship, which is really fucking pathetic. So Apollo Crews and Big E seems to be being placed in the back burner, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are being looked at as the most important ones in this program. Pretty fucked up. We had Bianca Belair later on in the show. This is not all in order, so I apologize. But Bianca Belair, she came on the show, and she was saying pretty much the same old shit she's been saying, and saying that she's going to have the last laugh at the end and beat her ass inside the Hell in a Cell and beat Bayley and retain her championship. At the end of the day, Bayley comes out of nowhere, attacks Bianca Belair, gets the advantage and holds up the SmackDown Women's Championship with every screen in the arena showing her holding the title in a very annoying way. So there you go. That was what they had special for that. None of this shit is even all that important. It doesn't feel like we should even value our time. Personally, I think they need to get rid of the month-to-month pay-per-views until they can start figuring out a way to make these shows seem important. Because the way they keep doing it comes across crappy. Doesn't feel elevated. Doesn't feel hyped up. It feels very, very bland. Not particularly happy with what they did here tonight. I thought the build for the Hell in a Cell Go Home show was terrible. Battle of the Crown match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin. Shinsuke Nakamura actually wins. Rick Boogs continues to be very entertaining on the guitar and being on the mic. The guy is fucking fantastic. A lot of people say, what is the reason for these two to even be together? They don't even give you a reason. I think that's important, but personally, I don't care. I think it's a great fucking combination between these two. But it would be nice to add in a reason for why these two got together. Maybe explain that at some point in time. But the combination between these two guys are pretty funny. I love the guitar playing. He gets his own live concert type of thing when he goes to the ring. It's pretty cool. I like it. I think it's good. Then we had Roman Reigns defend the Universal Championship against Rey Mysterio. My thoughts on this match was it was a good match. It could have worked better on the pay-per-view. I mean, look at this card on Hell in a Cell. I mean, they ain't got much of a card at all now that they took the Universal Championship off the card. The only match I could see as the main event is the WWE World Championship between Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, which I have no fucking clue what's going on with that because I don't watch Monday Night Raws, as you guys already know. But I don't know. I mean, could they put on a good match? Probably. They're probably the best choice to go with this as the main event, but as storyline build, they're trash. They have no storyline whatsoever for this. I've heard the reviews from a lot of people that do follow this week to week to get, profit off of it. Not because they really like it, but because they want to try to make an income. And I gotta be straight up with you guys. I have not been impressed with this fucking build at all. Bobby Lashley has turned into the new Godfather with a world championship around his waist. And he wears a suit instead of looking like some pimp. That's the only difference. He's great in the ring and everything. I have no problem with Bobby Lashley. I think he's a pretty good performer. But they've done nothing important with him. Personally, a lot of people are kind of mixed with this. The Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar situation. Whether the title should be on the line or the title should go to Drew McIntyre. Personally, I think that Bobby Lashley should defend the WWE Championship against Brock Lesnar. Because think of this logically. What reason would Brock Lesnar have to face Bobby Lashley one-on-one? What, for a singles match? To prove what? Where did they ever have any interaction with each other at any point in time? The world title has to be involved or there's no reason for them to compete against each other because they don't have a past history with one another as rivals. I think the title enhances the storyline between these two guys and it makes Bobby Lashley's title reign mean more than what it has been because it's been absolute trash. Brock Lesnar facing him, though, for the title and winning the belt, that's the concern I have. So I'm thinking about this logically. I understand where people are saying, hey, maybe this title doesn't need to take place. They could just be in a one-on-one rival match, which I understand. Why not give Bobby Lashley the opportunity to retain the championship against a guy like Brock Lesnar? I think that would be a lot better for him as a championship reign standpoint than make him lose it to Drew McIntyre, who has been losing the title. He lost it to The Miz. He lost it to Randy Orton. He has not been valued as a major world champion. Why give the title back to Drew McIntyre? For what reason? What are they going to benefit from it? And on top of this, you're thinking about the next pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. Who does Drew McIntyre face? Number one. I mean, that's ridiculous. Who the fuck's he gonna face? What, Randy Orton? He can't face him. Him and Matt Riddle are in a storyline together as a tag team. I mean, I don't know who the fuck you could go with. Bobby Lashley would be the best choice to retain the championship for Hell in a Cell and face Brock Lesnar with the title on the line, because without the title, there ain't no reason for these two to compete against each other at all. There's no benefit from them facing each other. Brock Lesnar doesn't need to move up in ranking. He has proven without a shadow of a doubt he's been the most dominant performer in the company. Now, that's because of storyline purposes and the way they made him look in wrestling. But, let's get real. Brock Lesnar is not the guy you want to put the championship on. So I understand everybody's conflict with the match being with a world title on the line and Bobby Lashley still being champion. But that's the only reason why these two would even face each other. If the title ain't on the line, I don't think Bobby Lashley should even face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. That's just my aspect on it. I don't know who Bobby Lashley would be able to face at that point. Maybe they could make some sense of it. At the here and now, there's nothing going on between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar as storyline purposes go. Unless they make that happen on Monday Night Raw. If they do that, great. Then I would be okay with a normal one-on-one match with no world championship on the line. But then again, let's think about it. Would you actually put Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar as the mid-card or the co-main event of SummerSlam? Fuck no! What are you, fucking crazy? Brock Lesnar owns SummerSlam. It's like Undertaker owning WrestleMania. Let's get real here, man. If Brock Lesnar shows up at SummerSlam, he's getting the fucking main event spot over Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns has been great. I don't know. It would be very weird to see Brock Lesnar not main eventing SummerSlam, in my opinion. But Roman Reigns versus John Cena for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam is a very good main event as well. Based on the way Roman Reigns is now, that would be a great main event. There was another match that took place on this fucking card, which wasn't even that big of a deal. It was fucking Montel Ford, or no, not Montel Ford, Angelo Dawkins, facing Otis in some bullshit match, which was crap. Otis basically just injured Angelo Dawkins. I don't even think there was a finish to that match. It was trash. The whole fucking thing was trash. Smackdown was not all that big of a deal. Outside of a Universal Championship, that was it. The two other matches were average at best, and Ortiz versus Angelo Dawkins, fucking garbage. 100% garbage. Alright, so that was pretty much the Smackdown show. That's all I'm covering on that. Now, let's move it into AEW Dynamite. The very first match was an MMA cage fight between Wardlow and Jake Hager. I'm going to say this. The presentation of this MMA fight was excellent. The execution of it within the match between Hager and Wardlow was trash. This was not a legit fight. You don't have an MMA type of match between these two fellas and make them not actually fight. These guys were doing what wrestling does, and if you're going to go with MMA or boxing or anything else in between, and you want to throw that into wrestling atmosphere in the wrestling world, you better make the fucking thing real. Not orchestrated and fucking all fixed up a certain way. I mean, every time these guys did something with each other, they posed in the middle of the fucking octagon. That's fucking stupid. You don't do that. Jake Hager, I've seen this guy fight a couple of times. This guy, when he took Wardlow to the ground, he got back up and posed in front of him. In normal circumstances, if he took a guy to the ground, he'd start pummeling them in the gut or ground and pounding them or put him in a submission, which eventually that's what happened. He put Wardlow in a he had Wardlow on his back. He took his arm and connected with his other arm around Wardlow's neck and his arm, Wardlow's arm, and put it up in the air. I believe that's called a triangle choke. It's an inverted triangle choke where your opponent's arm is up in the air above his head, and you wrap your arm around that and also his neck at the same time and apply pressure, and your opponent goes out. He started giving the middle finger to Chris Jericho, and then he passed out. The referee stopped the fight, and that was it. And he won. The ending was good. I liked the way the submission hold was applied and everything. It was realistic. It looked good. He really sold the hold very well, Wardlow. So credit is due on the ending, but the overall presentation of that, the overall execution of the entire fight, it went 2 rounds, and it didn't present that realism to it. I'll give WWE credit. They brought boxing into the realm of WWE. And anytime they had a boxing match, these guys really hit each other. They weren't great boxers by any means, but they actually boxed. And they would hit each other for real. These guys were not really doing it. It felt like I was watching Raw Underground, which I know is a terrible fucking comparison, but it was a little bit closer to realism, but not quite. It felt like I was watching an in-between of Raw Underground and an actual MMA fight, which I think is trash anyway, regardless. You had Wardlow, you had Jake Hager, I almost said Joe Hager, Jake Hager acting as if he was stunned by fucking Wardlow. Are you kidding me? He never even touched him. He tried to do a fucking Superman punch, leaping off the cage from the side of the cage and then hitting him in the face with a Superman punch, and it didn't do shit. The punch was terrible. It didn't look realistic, none of it. You got an MMA fight, you make these guys really go in there and kick each other's ass. Now, speaking of MMA fights, if you want to do Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam in an MMA fight, a legit MMA fight where they really fight each other, there is no predetermined winner, and you want to do that as a hype up for SummerSlam, I'm all for that without the championship on the line. I would love these two to get in the middle of an octagon and actually fight for real. They don't have to have the world title on the line or any of that bullshit, but fight for real. Now, if you want to throw the title in there just for shits and giggles and have Bobby Lashley retain and fight each other inside of an octagon with no predetermined decision on that, that's a fucking crazy thing to do, and it's never been done before. That would be entertaining. I would be okay with that. You're leaving the aspect of who's a better MMA fighter to win a championship. Now, what way wouldn't that produce a hyped up, to help elevate the WWE Championship? You're putting that thing inside of a unpredetermined match, a match that's not determined before the match ends. I think that's great. That's good shit. That's something out of the norm. Okay? I would be okay with that. Vince McMahon, I don't know what he would do. I think he's fucking crazy if he didn't take a chance on that. These two literally go in there, they kick each other's ass, they wrestle each other to the ground, they beat the fuck out of each other, and we get a legit fucking real fight. That isn't determined by Vince McMahon himself. He could go ahead, he could go in the drawing board, he could come up with creative ideas for both Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar after the match is over. So come up with some ideas after that was over. So he'd have to come up with two sides of the coin where whoever won, what direction he wants to go with that performer. Now, granted, the way WWE is, as a creative standpoint, they probably wouldn't do that because that would be too much work for them to do. Because God knows, they can't seem to book a show week to week, let alone trying to book a fucking undetermined match that they don't know who the hell's going to win. And they don't want to have to do double the work that they would only have to do if the match was predetermined. So I'm pretty sure that match is never going to happen. And my whole thing here was this is just a fucking pipe dream that I only wish could happen. But yeah, I didn't like this MMA cage fight. Then we had a 2-on-1 handicap match, which I was kind of disappointed with. I didn't like this either. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky now are called, they have a tag team name called the Men of the Year. They ended up defeating Darby Allin. They beat his ass pretty bad too. I mean, Darby Allin fought for a while and then eventually got his ass kicked. I didn't particularly like this match at all. I think Darby Allin should have walked away victorious. I don't know what they're trying to do here with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, but to me, it's not going to go anywhere in my opinion. We had Orange Cassidy go up against Cesar Bononi, and he won this match. No surprise there. Thought that was shit. Jungle Boy actually had a backstage confrontation with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega wanted a street fight. A week before, they had to face each other, which is taking place on Saturday night instead of Friday night. For the World Championship. So he wanted to have a street fight backstage, and Jungle Boy said, why the hell should I do that when I could kick your ass next week? So, the answer is no, I don't need to fight you right now. He goes ahead and they start brawling backstage and all that shit. So nothing special here. Another segment that I remember was Lance Archer. You got fucking Jake the Snake Roberts cutting most of the promo, saying to us that he's ready to come back. He wants to kill everybody. And he never was going to be a doctor because he just doesn't have any patience. Very clever, little funny joke there. And that's the reason, I think it's absolute trash. Lance Archer it's just been one creative decision after another wrong. They've made wrong decisions here and there. They're making him as bad as Braun Strowman, and he is far better than Braun Strowman in so many ways. He can wrestle, he can perform, he's a big man, he can provide a lot of intimidation factor, and all they keep doing is putting him in situations where he could lose. Man can't even win a world championship of any kind, TNT or world title. He's gotten unbelievable amount of championship opportunities and still has yet to win. So, go figure that one out. I don't know. There was a singles, I already told you about that, Orange Cassidy's matchup. Cody Rhodes and Brock Anderson, they went up against The Factory, which is Aaron Solo and QT Marshall. This match was pretty okay. I didn't have any problems with it. I thought it was a decent match. Brock Anderson, he's an average guy, really, to be honest with you. He's a guy that I could imagine partnering up with Brian Pillman Jr. They're kind of in the same level of wrestling capabilities. They're not bad, but they're not that great either. They're kind of in between. So, I mean, Brock Anderson, he belongs on like fucking Dark. That's where he belongs. Until they get him elevated to a level they feel that he's more of a better performer than what he did here. This was an average match. Nothing stood out about him. His in-ring attire looks very similar to his father, Arn Anderson. Not saying that Arn Anderson's wrestling attire was terrible, but for this day and age, I mean, come on. Give us a little bit more than just some colored trunks and some colored boots that match the trunks. Please. Get like some kind of writing on the back of the trunks that say your name in gold or some kind of shit like that. Anything. Get a nice logo for your character, maybe. Any kind of thing you can think of. But this guy Brock Anderson is not ready for Dynamite yet. Cody was pissed off. He didn't look pissed off, but he looked like he was disappointed he didn't get the win for his team. And Brock Anderson got the win. Which, I don't know why he'd be upset. He won the fucking match. But apparently maybe we're seeing a heel turn. I have no idea. Personally, I just don't give a shit. I just really don't. With Cody, he has good matches, but his storyline direction is terrible. He has been in a terrible situation. I don't agree with what they went with Cody not being able to challenge for the world title. The way things have been going lately, that is the reason why. At first, I thought it was a cool thing. Thought it was a very unselfish thing that he's doing. But at the same time, he needs to get rid of the good guy image, and he needs to be a heel, and he needs to be able to challenge for the world championship somewhere down the line. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be a long-term world champion or anything like that, but give him a fucking run with the title for a little bit. Another thing that was mentioned on the show was Andrade. I'm horrible at pronouncing his second portion of his name since they changed it because of copyrights and all that bullshit. But Andrade sat down with Jim Ross. This was a good interview. I liked it. He actually talked for himself. He didn't have Vicky Guerrero talking for him. He explained his reasons for joining with Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero had her husband Eddie Guerrero as a professional wrestler. She's married into the family, and she knows a lot of professional wrestlers. He says she's a very good person to go with because she's got hookups and connections that could get him in the right place where he wants to be. And she helped him get into AEW. So he was very happy that he was able to do that with her. They have a business relationship, and that's where the story ends. His attitude is that the TNT Championship and the World Heavyweight title are the two prestigious titles in pro wrestling. I would 100% agree with that. They've both been elevated to a level that people could say these titles are the best out of the bunch of titles that are in professional wrestling. The only other title I would say right now is probably slightly higher than those two titles is the Universal Championship, and that's only because the man holding the title, and that is Roman Reigns. So one guy is the only reason why that title is even elevated to the level that it's at in my mind. But as an overall, who's had the number of people that have had the title to make that title prestigious, it would be the TNT and the World Heavyweight Championship from AEW that have been elevated by every single person that has carried that belt in their possession. So that is, to me, that is what makes those titles better than anything else in the wrestling business right now. What else? We had a few other matches here. Let me go into it. Penelope Ford, she went up against Julia Hart and beat Julia Hart in 7 minutes. This was nothing special here. And then the last match, the main event, which is a 6-man tag team match, I thought this was the right choice. For the main event, it was Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson with Matt Jackson from the Young Bucks teaming together against fucking Eddie Kingston, Frankie Kazarian, and Pentagon Jr. And this was an okay main event match. I wasn't too disappointed with this. So it was decent at best overall. And the Good Brothers and Matt Jackson win the matchup with a little bit of a screw job at the end. Nick Jackson shows up, sprays, I believe it was Pentagon Jr. in the face, and they managed to get the win after that and walked away victorious, and that was the end of that. So that was the end of the show. Personally, I don't really care for either one of these two shows. These shows were not done very well. In my opinion, I think they were average at best if you really want to get technical and just be nice, but I really could have cared less about watching these two shows. The only thing that really mattered to me was the Universal Championship inside the Hell in a Cell, which I thought was an awesome match. Rey Mysterio dominated most of that matchup, and unfortunately, he lost the match regardless with a guillotine. I forgot to mention, he lost by a standing guillotine, inverted standing guillotine, may I add, and that's how Roman Reigns won this match. So, that's pretty much both of these shows in a nutshell. Nothing spectacular by either one of them. I thought it was average. So, at this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have a great day. And I'll see you guys tonight after Hell in the Cell. Which, God help us all, probably it'll be the worst pay-per-view of 2021. And I don't particularly care for watching this, but I'm going to help with this channel and give you guys my aspect on how the pay-per-view goes. Hopefully it goes okay and it's entertaining to watch, but more than likely it'll be trash. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great night. Bye.